Let's talk real estate and more specifically, how to negotiate and put yourself in a very strong position to negotiate. Let's break down the basics here. We have a person over here known as the seller. They are trying to sell their house, right? Okay, very complicated so far. Over here, we have the buyer. They are trying to buy the seller's house. Now, in many cases, there are external forces here at work. There are other people. Not all the time, but in many times, you have this extra person right here that kind of stands out front, and that person is known as the seller's agent. Or in more common lingo, a realtor, a real estate agent, a real estate salesperson, just a realtor, right? If you're in the market, I'm sure you've heard of a realtor, or if you're thinking about it, you will soon hear of realtor. So odds are, like I said, they kind of offer up this little barrier, and they are the seller's agent. Now, in many cases, on the other side of the equation, you have somebody that's stepping in front of the buyer. So they're providing this buyer or this barrier here. And can you guess what this is? This is the buyer's agent. And the way a real estate deal works is that the seller is going to be paying a certain amount to the seller's agent. So in most cases, and this isn't universal, it can be different, but usually about 6%. And just to keep the math very simple, if this house is selling for $100,000, that means that the seller needs to pay $6,000 in fees. Just 6% times 100,000. So where is that money actually going to? Wow, so a seller's agent is getting $6,000? No, this 6% is actually being divided amongst the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. Divided equally. So each person gets 3%. So this brings up the question, well, is there any way we can manipulate this? What in this situation, again, if you're looking to buy real estate, is there anything here that we can control? Well, you can't control the seller. You can't control the seller's choice to use the seller's agent. But one thing you can control is to do this right here. What happens if you were to remove out the buyer's agent? Meaning you're like, I'm gonna venture into this. I'm gonna make the offer. I'm gonna do all this stuff on my own. But you're actually not gonna do it on your own. You're gonna do, what I'm about to talk about here. You are actually, and this is what I advise everybody to do, is that remove the buyer's agent, especially in this age of technology, and approach the seller's agent and say, hey, I want you to represent me. Dual agency is what it's called. I want you to represent me, but I want you to do this. So you're only going to get 4% though. Why only 4%? Well, because you now understand how the dynamic works. If they would usually only be getting 3%, but you are now offering them 4%, they just made 1% more. Or instead of only making $3,000 on this, now they're making $1,000 more, $4,000 on it. But what you're also going to tell them is, hey, because I know now that the seller is saving 2%, because now it's, let's just do the math, 6% minus 4%. Now there's just 2% out there just kind of floating around. You're going to say, and because of all this, my offer is going to be for less than what it's, what they're listing it for. But as far as the math all working out, it's going to be the same because sure, I am offering less for the house, but the seller themselves are also paying less in commission because instead of paying you 6%, they're only going to pay you 4%. And what just happened here? You created a win-win. You created a win for the seller's agent because now they're making 4% instead of 3%, and you just got yourself a 2% discount on whatever that listing price was. And if agent is not willing to work for 4%, scumbag. Okay, why? I mean, you're being more than fair. Sure, I mean, if they're saying, no, I want 6% still. No. I'll just go get a buyer's agent then in that case. Any real estate agent in the right mind is going to say, oh yeah, that you're definitely, I see what you're doing. I'm now getting 4%. But if they're saying, no, I still want all full 6%, or I want 5%. No, they're just being they're just being greedy pigs. But I mean, you gotta, because they are going to have time working with you. So you need to, just make that very clear to them that, yeah, you know what? I'm going to, I'll pay you that percent, and that way it works out for everybody. Now, the other thing here that you need to keep in mind is that the way it works is the seller's agent, their main loyalty resides with the seller. That's all in the paperwork. They go and when you work with them, you would sign paperwork that says, hey, I understand that their main loyalty lies with the seller themselves. So over here, you need to be acting in a very educated manner. You need to know what that house is actually worth. You need to know how much it costs to fix it up. You need to know how much you could sell it for. You need to know a bunch of stuff. So dare I say, you have to actually become somewhat of a real estate investor per se. But, and this is where, this works for if you're already educated and maybe you never thought about that, perfect. But just to kind of assign some numbers to things, I offer a real estate course at moneywithclay.com that costs $9.97. If you were to learn everything in that course, you would be more than qualified to act solely in your favor, know exactly what that house is worth, know exactly what you should be paying for that house, and everything else. But Clay, I'm not a real estate, I don't want to be a real estate investor, but bear with me here. So you pay $9.97, and if you're saving 2% on just a $100,000 house, now I realize if you're in like Southern California, you're thinking $100,000 house, that pays for like a toilet. That's besides the point. But so again, just keeping it at $100,000, if you can pay $1,000 to gain a whole bunch of practical knowledge when it comes to, and then you can use this to when you sell your house later on and you don't have to use a seller's agent, but that's a whole nother story. But you gain all this knowledge right here to save $2,000, not to insult your intelligence, but if you pay $1,000 to save $2,000 in this situation, that's a good return on investment. But again, this is only based on a $100,000 house. Let's say it's a $200,000 house. Now you are saving $4,000. If you can spend $1,000 to save $4,000, to me, that is knowledge worth paying for. And yeah, you will definitely be able to do it because I do invest in real estate. I've invested in real estate for quite a while now. I have a portfolio full of real estate. I understand how it works. And this is very practical. This is a great way to negotiate. But the caveats are, because of that loyalty right here, you need to definitely be well educated out there. So you're not paying too much, because if you pay too much in the first place, then who cares about this 2% or whatever that you saved? You overpaid regardless. So that is just something for you to, like I said, if you're already educated in real estate and feel firmly confident, then yeah, this is kind of an FYI. But if not, then yeah, I do offer a course, and like I said, to me the numbers make a whole lot of sense. Paying $1,000 to save $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, like I said, $4,000 is still only at a $200,000 house. I mean, if you're out in California, this could be a paying $1,000 to save $10,000, $15,000, which is crazy, but California numbers are a little bit different. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions or anything, you can always go to moneywithclay.com, shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to help you out. But we'll put a link down to the course below if you're interested. But if not, yeah, just FYI, get knowledge, get education, and education pays in a very practical negotiating sense. Thanks for watching the video. If you are interested in the top 10 links that I use on a daily basis to manage, to control, and to build my finances and to make them efficient as possible, then down below in the description, if you're watching this on YouTube, description, if you're watching this on moneywithclay.com, then just down below the video, you can click on the link and that'll take you to these links that I use on a daily basis that really allow me to work smarter and not harder.